Guys, so this is a Remington R1 Commander size 1911. We acquired one for the shop because we are doing some more work with some 1911 holsters for some companies, and we wanted to make sure that everything was in spec with our molds and you know, the length of the holsters that we were producing. So we back check all of our holsters to a physical gun if possible. So this is just a Remington R1. The reason why I purchased an R1 over some of the other models is it was a little bit more affordable, and I do also have experience with Remington R1s. My first 1911 was an R1 that I custom built and enhanced. Anyway, so as you can see, it does not have the factory checkered grips on it. These are VZ grips that we had kicking around the shop. Even though this is a test fit gun, it probably won't be fired very much. You know, I still wanted to put some nice grips on it. This finish that they have on this is definitely a lot different from the other Remington R1 that I purchased about 5 years ago. This one has more of that, you know, that nitron style coating. You know, it's a lot more robust coating than the old bluing techniques that they used on the original R1s that came out. This is just a standard Commander model, just the very original hardware and furniture that an original 1911 would come with. It comes with a match grade polished barrel and a match grade bushing. It has an aluminum trigger with vertical serrations on it, so it's got that grippy aspect to it on your trigger. It's not as defined of a grip safety as a normal full-size 1911, but anyway, it's still a full capacity grip. So it has the 7-round magazine. It fits full-size 1911 grips. The difference between this and a full-size 1911 is just barrel length. So this is the Commander length versus the government length. Features about this gun: it has metal sights, 3-dot white sights, and well, it's a 1911. Well, it's not completely stock. I say it's bone stock, but I did do some work to it already. I had a little free time the other day, and I like to work on, I always loved working on my original 1911, so I did a little bit of tuning to this gun to make it a little bit more fun in the hands, a little bit more smooth. So it's probably going to be difficult to see. Alright, so when you get more, I don't want to call budget 1911s, but more affordable 1911s, there are some things that you may want to do to your gun to make it feel more like a hand-built custom gun. And there's a lot of super easy ways to do that. So I started off by getting these rails kind of broken in and polished up a little bit. There's a couple ways you can do it. I started with a little bit of Flitz, which is a polishing compound that you can get. It's really popular with gunsmiths, and a Scotch-Brite pad, and I kind of massaged it into the rails. So I kind of covered all the rail surfaces. You can see there's a light bit of wear, just a little bit of the finish taken off. That was one thing I did first. And then after that, I ran, I put a little bit more Flitz on it, and I ran the slide back and forth for a little while. You know, I was just walking around the shop with the guys, working it back and forth. After that, I lubricated a little bit and wiped off all the Flitz, got it all cleaned up. And then I take a felt wheel on a Dremel, and I do a little bit of very light polishing, so this does more of a surface finish polish. So I polished the rails with the Dremel on the frame. So that definitely made the rail a lot more slick. It was pretty gritty when we first got it. Another thing that I did, my Remington R1 that I bought back in the day had a really, really bad burr on the feed ramp. The thing about 1911s is they have two feed ramps. They have one on the barrel and one built into the frame. And the feed ramp on the frame, you can see I have it polished now. My original 1911 had a burr and was actually failing to pick up rounds. So I took a felt wheel and a little bit more Flitz, and I ran the wheel that fit this radius, and I polished out the feed ramp. So now it's really, really super slick, because this factory finish is pretty rough. So I polished that feed ramp. And then I used a little bit more Flitz again, and you can see I mirror finished the ramp on the barrel, and that's super slick now. I polished this one a little longer than usual, and that is because when these match up, there's usually a little bit of a gap between the feed ramp and the barrel, about there. So I polished it a little longer, and you can see now that ramp leads right up to the next ramp and then into the barrel. So by doing so, that means when the round comes up in, it's going to ride that first feed ramp and feed flawlessly into the barrel. So that just makes the action a little bit more smooth. Another thing I will do is, you can see here, there's a detent here. That detent sometimes locks up on this feature of the slide here. So I'll eventually put this on a mini mill, and I'll just cut a little 11-degree ramp into there, just on the mouth of this, and so when it hits that detent, it rides smoothly up over that. And those really easy details to get, very easy gunsmithing. This, you obviously need a mill, put this on the mill, cut it, but once you kind of do these very simple polishing, you'll find that your 1911 feels much more high-end, and it'll function much better. So super easy. If you want to do that to your 1911s when you first buy them, some companies you don't even have to touch. If you're going to go super high-end, it's already been gunsmithed, it's already been tuned. But if you're going to buy a lower-end 1911, you know, the Rock Islands, the Remingtons, not the enhanced Remingtons, but the baseline Remingtons, you can do a little bit to make them function really nicely. Anyway, thank you for watching. Guys, click like, subscribe, check us out, leave a comment. We love to hear feedback.